Debate on Vote 3, Provincial Treasury, Western Cape Adjustments Appropriation Bill.
Thank you, Secretary. I now see the Honourable Minister of Finance. I see Minister Mayor.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and thank you to Honourable Members in the House. The Department's adjusted estimates, Vote 3, Department of Treasury for 2017, was tabled on the 23rd of November 2017 in the House. In total, Provincial Treasury was allocated the main appropriation of the 308.184 million, which was decreased by 19.5 million to the adjusted appropriation of 288.5 million. The large adjustment within the vote was as a result of the compensation of employees, which was reduced by 12.5 million in line with the COE austerity measures due to the late filling of posts, attrition, and the lower intake of trainees who form part of the financial management capacity building. An amount of 5 million rand was realigned to the Provincial Revenue Fund for Vote 14, Department of Local Government, for drought relief in the Western Cape. In addition, an amount of 2 million rand was shifted to Vote 10, Department of Transport and Public Works, to conduct empowerment assessments on procurement and for the development of immovable asset management system. Honourable Speaker, therefore, the catering for this adjustments is as follows. Program 1, Administration, was decreased by an amount of 4.5 million. Program 2, Sustainable Resource Management, was decreased by an amount of 4.69 million. And Program 3, Asset Management, was decreased by an amount of 6.8 million. And Program 4, Financial Governance, was decreased by an amount of 3.496 million. And that makes up the adjustment budget decrease by 19.59 million. I thank you.
Thank you, Minister Mayor. I now see the Honourable Member Mackenzie.
Thank you, Speaker. I certainly welcome the statement made by the Honourable MEC Dr. Mayor, and we're pleased that the allocation that is made to the necessary programs, particularly when it comes to community safety, for the Safety Summit next year, dealing with a very important matter, and also with the school safety strategy. Because this will help the Western Cape government, obviously, with their service delivery. So we fully support this adjustment budget, and I would like to thank the Minister for the sterling work his department is doing, and we thank him for tabling his budget today. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Mackenzie. I now see the Honourable Veerwinkel.
Now I'm going to take all their time, Speaker. There, 20 minutes, and the
Member
Minister's 20 minutes.
You have 10 minutes allocated to you, starting when you speak. Thank you.
I'll use theirs as well. Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, if I need to mention MEC Grant, if we're really serious about saving water, I have to bring to your attention that in the ladies' restroom just around the corner, there are taps running continuously. When you open them, they just gush. When you try to close them, they continue to run. So we've been talking about water saving all the time, and in this very building, we are wasting water. So I'm bringing that to your attention. Speaker, oh, sorry, Chairperson. This time round, Treasury surrendered 12.5 million savings from compensation of employees, and the rest of the 17 million being savings from goods and services, but in total, as you heard, a decrease of about 20 million, with a reduction in every program, as the MEC has just pointed out. Speaking of goods and services, one good thing that has emerged is that expenditure on consultants for doing the payroll has decreased significantly due to work being done in-house, and we commend that section of the department and Marsha and her team for that good work. Also that they've pressed on consultants to transfer skills. Another new initiative that one hopes will pay off is the assistance given to Transport and Public Works for sharing of consultants who do empowerment assessments with procurement, by assisting the community as well as the bidders to understand their obligations when submitting tenders or doing JVs. This will hopefully give rise to a more inclusive public participation process so that communities understand their SEM requirements, the processes, and the need for change. I'm not going to go through the other numbers which have already been read. A worrying factor, though, Chairperson, is the continued support for gambling machines, especially the LPM machines, due to the cross-section of the community affected by this lure to cheap gambling. While Treasury is continuously alluding to the fact that own revenue needs to be augmented, we never hear anything further than increasing gambling facilities and gambling tax. While we understand that gambling is a job creator, it remains a social evil to those who can least afford to do it anyway. This flies in the face of what is in PSG 3, which speaks about wellness and alcohol harms reduction and a whole of society approach. How does Cabinet then agree to liquor being sold at schools for some frivolous motivation, when I remember how the Chief Whip in previous amendments fought as hard as I did to keep liquor off school premises? Now it's being put back on because some school somewhere who can afford to make money needs to have alcohol on board as well. PSG 4, sustainable and inclusive living, where and how, it still remains to be seen. How sustainable can life be now that day zero is looming, and all we get is punitive measures for your incentive while trying to assist with reduced water consumption? A simple thing that can be done, Chairperson, is to go into the informal settlements and close the running taps, especially where there are communal taps, and also to curb these people who are continuously still doing car washes with running water. And we are bearing the brunt for that. It has to stop. When the poor still live in such absolute squalor and forgotten dumping sites like Wolverkloof, with water being in the situation and percentage of its availability now, one wonders what will happen with these people. How do the municipal budgets presented to Treasury address these crises? So I'm not only talking about Treasury's adjustment budget, I'm also talking about Treasury's responsibility towards other departments and municipalities when they submit their budgets to them. This is part of Treasury's role to ensure that all budgets presented adhere to their own PSGs. And then how do they answer to the fact that specific programs to empower women just don't exist, in spite of a young women and girls project? It's not only Women's Caucus that's supposed to seriously address these issues. How can you speak of a whole of society approach, but women are conspicuously absent or disrespected by men right here? Maybe some workshops are needed, because clearly respect for women takes a back seat in this House most of the time. It's also the transversality of Treasury that needs to be discussed now more than ever, with regards to savings and how they are utilized, where they are shifted from, and why. Roman numeral 6.
Member Beerwinkel, kan jy net gou sit asseblief? Chief Whip Riley. Chief Whip van die DA, Chief Whip Riley, kan jy asseblief hier op plek kom sit? Jy het jou eie meeting daar agter. Jy het jou eie meetingkie daar agter terwyl Member Beerwinkel praat. Asseblief, jy's 'n steurnis. Kom sit net op jou plek asseblief.
Yeah, it's making noise. Making lots of noise.
Member Beerwinkel, ja, Member Syfer.
Honourable Acting Speaker, on what rule is that ruling been done?
Member Syfer, daar moet orde wees in die huis. Member Wiley is nou al 10 minute agter wat hy sy eie vergadering het met hy members rondom hom. Kom net terug asseblief, dankie. Member Beerwinkel.
Not listening.
Sonder my tyd wat weggeraak het, nee.
Ja.
Chairperson, Program 2, in his oversight role over municipal budgets and adjustments, this is a gender-friendly budget issue that must take preference in future oversight when dealing with budgets from municipalities and different departments. In some municipal transfers made by Treasury, in spite of MOUs being in place, the conditional grants are not being spent, and Treasury has a duty to monitor this. It's also our contention that more money should have been allocated to safety in and around schools. Why would you accept in the presentation of their budget that City of Cape Town is to roll out a law enforcement auxiliary service, but only in Lavender Hill? Now, don't get me wrong. Lavender Hill, yes, it is a dangerous area. But what about areas like Scottsdene and Scottsville, where the life of a young person means nothing, and on a daily basis, your chairpersons do walkabout in your own chairperson of that sub-council does walkabouts in that area. Speaker, the comments coming from the members of the DA just clearly shows how distant and unremoved they are from these areas that we know about. It's always a question of more money, more money. You could have spread that money more wiser. It's your role as Treasury, when these proposals are made, that you ask questions or motivate for different thinking, or does Cabinet as a whole not care about the lives of others? Should you not be questioning the lack of growth of the informal economy? That every department shows concrete measures to building that sector in the community instead of assisting big players to smother small business. And here, Speaker, I have to stand still and address MEC Windy through you. MEC, you have a total misconception of what happens in the informal areas with small businesses when big businesses come and kill them. It's not about Pick and Pay coming to approach Chair. Speaker, I'm speaking via you, but I'm just looking.
And I'm listening to you. You can just focus on me.
Pick and Pay comes in and approaches me to become a franchisee. Somewhere along the line, if Pick and Pay doesn't know it, then we must know to inform them. There are public living around here. They need to be informed about how their spending patterns are going to change, how the situation of sales and vendoring and marketing is going to change in this area. It's not just a disregard because somebody approaches me for a franchise. We also need to tell. We also need to tell that taking over a franchise from a conglomerate like Pick and Pay is not something easy. It's not easily done. You can't sit in a corner and explain this to the franchisee. You need to go out and tell
kindly
it.
take your seat, please. There's too much noise from both sides of the House. This side and your members behind you are also causing a disturbance.
Rubbish is when we sit here and we read things from paper and we have no clue of how it affects the community out there where we work. That's rubbish. When we sit here and read things from paper. We are tired of being insulted by you and we think we don't know what's going on outside. You need to do. At the moment, what I think you should do as part of Treasury, also together with their local government, needs to seriously investigate, Speaker, why a third MPL is leaving Swellendam because a mayor there doesn't know his place. That's part of Treasury's responsibility.
Can you take your seat, please? There's Minister Windy's on the floor. Now, sorry, there's a member on the floor on a point of order, so you have to take your seat, please. Minister Windy.
Speaker, earlier on there was a chair that reprimanded the chief whip for not sitting on his seat, and I noticed the Honourable Chacham is not sitting on his seat, and I wondered what the ruling would be on that.
Minister Windy, that's not a point of order, but you highlight the issue of what is good for the goose is good for the gander, should be. Honourable Chacham, may I call you to your seat, please, without breaking the line? Thank you. You may proceed, Honourable.
Thank you, Speaker. The reason why I am mentioning this is it is Treasury's responsibility, together with local government, to see to it that municipalities run in a smooth manner. And if mayors don't behave, there are ways and means to deal with it. You can't have 3 MPLs being chased out of the area because of a mayor. That's not right. And it's your own DA municipality. Doesn't make you sense.
Order.
Even though you won't see it because you're involved. That's why you don't want to see it. Speaker, the other thing, it is also Treasury's responsibility. It is also Treasury's responsibility to check on that municipality's spending patterns, especially that mayor. I'm putting it out here again. Even though, Speaker, I don't want to address the DA's factions. I'm putting facts on the
please,
table
members.
here. Factions.
Honourable Magaka.
I'm putting facts on the table here. Yes.
You need a faction, you don't need the whole DA.
You see, what happens here, Speaker, when we deal with budgets and we deal with expenses, some of the things that we have to look at is expenditure on travel and subsistence.
Honourable Bierwinkel, can I ask you to complete your sentence? Your time has expired. Thank you. And may it not be a long one without commas and all the other stuff.
No, then, Speaker, I want to, if I may, raise something else. If I can just...
It is, your time has expired, Honourable
May I
Bierwinkel.
just-
I allowed you the privilege of finishing your sentence.
Speaker,
Yes, you may.
you do know that I've been interrupted repeatedly on frivolous points of order. Can I please raise my final point of order, which I
Honourable
think is
Bierwinkel, just to
very
clarify
odd.
for
My
the
fin-
record, when a point of order is raised, the clock stops. So you have not been cheated out of any seconds. Your time has expired. You can finish your sentence. Thank you.
Speaker, then I would just like to clarify a misunderstanding of yesterday, if I may. When I spoke about the fact that we will now be putting in amendments, I was not referring to the amendment to money bills. I was referring to the amendment of 8% after this process.
Thank you,
happens.
Member Bierwinkel.
That's what I was
It's
referring to.
noted. Thank you. In the absence of the ACDP and the EFF, I now see the Honourable, the Minister. Oh, sorry, I see Member Joseph. I'm sorry, Member Joseph. I've
That's
run
fine.
ahead
Thank
of
you.
myself here.
Thank you, Madam
My
Speaker.
apologies.
The adjustment budget, the appropriations within Vote 3 reflects a challenging economic environment, including an uncertain fiscal outlook. However, I support the adjustment appropriations for Vote 3, and the reason is that the DA-led government brings hope to the people. Provincial Treasury and its entity, namely the Western Cape Gambling and Racing Board, have shown leadership in dealing with the economic challenges in their pursuit of creating public value and an inclusive growth. The Minister of Finance, also responsible for international relations, reflected on fiscal sustainability, good governance, and integrated service delivery. Budget priorities and spending plans forms part of the provincial government's strategic goals. Challenges in particular in the labour market, which reflects that about 16 million people were unemployed at the end of 2016, which amounted to 26.5%. For the same period in the Western Cape, we have experienced only 20.5% unemployment. Legislative and constitutional mandates deals with general financial matters for national, provincial and local spheres of government. The purpose of the Public Financial Management Act is to secure transparency, accountability and sound management of revenue expenditure. The Act applies to the departments and entities. The powers and function of Provincial Treasury is assigned in Section 18 of the Provincial Financial Management Act, and it includes preparing and exercising control over the implementation of provincial budgets. It includes promoting and enforcing transparency and effective management relating to revenue. It includes assisting departments and entities in building the capacity for efficient and transparent financial management, and it includes, amongst other mandates, doing anything further that is necessary to fulfill its responsibility. Speaker, Provincial Treasury is also mandated to monitor local government's roles and responsibilities to ensure compliance of the Municipal Financial Management Act and to take necessary steps ensuring good governance. The Department, Provincial Treasury, gave guidance during the adjustment budget process, and at the same time, they had to engage as an equal stakeholder for ensuring a departmental budget, ensuring that it is sufficient and fulfill its responsibilities. The department operates within the financial management environment, having to deal with scarce skills. Notwithstanding this challenge, the department was able to reduce the senior vacancies. Speaker, I take this opportunity to thank the Minister and Provincial Treasury for mitigating the risk that the Western Cape government is facing given the financial pressure on the budget of the Western Cape government that is affecting our needs like job creation, education, health, social responsibility, safety and water shortages. The shift of money after the annual plan is approved and accommodated in the annual budget and then having to deal with an adjustment of the budget between departments is no easy task. The Western Cape Gambling and Racing Board main purpose is to provide stable and constant regulatory environment as well as the contributing to the economy within the Western Cape government in a responsible manner. The Western Cape government promotes responsible gambling. The sustainability study by both the Gambling Board and Provincial Treasury is underway, and this report will be discussed early in 2018. Provincial Treasury continue to issue directives to the departments and municipalities and ensure that this directive is adhered to as it is received from National Treasury. Ongoing engagements with professional institutions is a critical function of senior management. This is to enhance Provincial Treasury professional standards of service and guidance to other departments and entities. All programs within Provincial Treasury is affected within the adjustment estimates in all the programs, namely Program 1, Administration, Program 2, Sustainable Resource Management, Program 3, Asset Management, and Program 4, which dealt with the compensation of employment. The shifting of budgets between the votes, as the Minister mentioned, was 2 million. Under Program 3, it specifically referred to 1 million to the Department of Public Transport and Public Works for conducting empowerment assessments on procurement. The other million also went to the Department of Public and Transport Works for development of immovable asset management. Speaker, it is encouraging to note that Provincial Treasury did not only review the main budget projects within their department, but they have actually reviewed sub-programs and were able to make proposals towards the bigger picture within the financial means. And this figure was quoted by the Minister in his speech. Speaker, I thank the Minister for his leadership, the HOD and the DDG, with senior staff and all staff in the department for their continuous efforts to support departments, entities and municipalities. I also would like to thank the police for their service throughout the year, for the media service and for the emergency management services that were on duty while Parliament was in sitting throughout the year. Speaker, I would like to thank all staff in Parliament under your leadership for their support during this year and wish and hope that we will all enjoy this holiday break which we all deserve. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Joseph. We get to the final speaker for the day. I now see the Honourable, the Minister.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I want to thank all the colleagues who took part in this debate. I appreciate all your comments and your advice. I'd also like to thank the members of the Cabinet and thank you very much for the input that you have also raised during the Cabinet meetings. I'd also like to thank the Chairperson of the Standing Committee on Finance and all the members of the Standing Committee, but also all the members of the Budget Committee. Thank you very much for your input during those discussions. I would also like to thank the members and the board members and the staff of the Western Cape Gambling and Racing Board, because this is an institution that brings in additional revenue to the Western Cape. I'd also like to express my thanks to the head of the department, Mr. Aziz, Mr. Zakaria Hussein, our Accountant General Aziz, and our head of the Budget Office, Mr. Heri Malila, as well as our Chief Economist, Marshall Corsten. Thank you for the work that they have been doing. I'd also like to thank our Chief Whip and the Chief Whip of the Opposition, and thank you to all the members of the staff of the Provincial Parliament, and thank you for this input into this process. I move now for the adoption of Budget Vote 3, the adjusted estimates of 2017, Provincial Treasury. I thank you.
Thank you, Minister Mayor. That concludes the debate on this vote. I would like to take the opportunity to thank the temporary chairs for their support today in the absence of the deputy. And also just to draw your attention to the fact that we start at 10 a.m. tomorrow. That concludes the business of the day. The House is adjourned.